Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a bit different. It's not a tutorial, but I'll take you on a mini tour of my dollhouse kitchen. As the whole dollhouse you've just seen, this room is entirely handmade and it's based on this book by French miniaturist Christine-Léa Frisoni. I'm sure some of you are familiar either with the French or the English version of this book, but for those who aren't, this book explains in great detail how to build a complete 19th century French-style dollhouse in 1:12 scale. I warmly recommend it not only if you want to try and build your own dollhouse, but also if you want to learn some great techniques within the world of miniatures. In general, to build the room itself, that is to say walls, ceiling, floor and so on, I followed the instructions from the book 99% of the times and only made some minor changes, whereas for the furniture I was a bit more creative. I either made my own pieces or modified the ones from the book, according to my taste. The kitchen is rather long and narrow, which is why it's quite hard to film. It has 3 walls, 2 windows on the front wall and 1 window on the right wall. There are also 2 doors, one leading to the hallway and one is a back door which leads outside. For the floor I have used a different method from the one explained by Lea, so I can share it with you. I used air drying clay in a terracotta shade, flattened it out with a rolling pin and then took this tool here and used it as a cookie cutter to create the individual tiles. For the hanging lamp, I made a simplified version of the one shown in the book: a tiny chain, a bead, a mini light bulb, and the lamp shade is translucent polymer clay to imitate milk glass. And now let's move on to the furniture. The very first piece of furniture I made was this cupboard, roughly based on the book as long as the dimensions are concerned. I used plywood from a fruit crate, some tulle fabric for the upper doors or windows, and polymer clay for the metal parts. Also, I have added 2 small plastic mirrors. All the doors can open and close, but the hinges are actually fake. I used strips of fabric, which you can see on the inside, to allow the door to swing. Inside there are some pieces I have made myself with polymer clay. And then inside one of the drawers I keep some cutlery, which again I have made myself using polymer clay. The second piece I made is this pantry cabinet made of plywood, which in itself is nothing special really, but it has a little secret which I want to show you. These 2 windows here with their tiny hinges are fake. They don't open at all, so say that I want to fill the cabinet with these apples here. What do? There's a backside panel that can slide open, allowing the cabinet to be filled with food. I went for this unorthodox solution, first because I don't really enjoy making hinges myself, and second, I find that the hinges that you can buy specifically for miniatures are always a bit too big and don't look very realistic, especially on smaller pieces like this one. Next up are the cooker and the sink, which are both in 2 niches of the right wall. The cooker is probably my least favorite item from this kitchen. It's basically a small plywood box covered in cardboard and decorated with polymer clay for the metal bits. It ended up looking too shabby and almost toyish, and above all, the grates on the 5 cookers are not flat enough, so if I want to put on a small frying pan like this one, it tends to flop. The sink is again made of plywood, covered with a thin layer of gesso to imitate stone. I have also added this little curtain, and these folds you see are not natural. To get this draping effect, I had to dip the fabric in a mixture of water and white glue, shape it with the help of some chopsticks, and then let it dry. The tap is not part of the sink as it's set directly onto the wall. I've also added a rack for drying dishes and a metal bucket behind the curtain. And the last piece I'll show you is the dining set. pieces are made of plywood except for the side decorations of the chairs, which are made of cardboard from food packaging, still visible. And this decoration on the back, which should imitate carvings, is cotton thread. I'm quite happy with the final result, although I don't really like this joint between the back and the legs. I wish I could have done it a bit better. In this tour you have seen very little food, so at this point you might rightfully ask me, where's the food? Well, over the years I have made quite a lot of fruits and vegetables, bread and cheese, and cakes and pies and savory dishes and kitchen tools, and all these items are not on permanent display in my miniature kitchen because they would get very dusty, which is why they are stored in these white boxes. So we are now at the end of the tour. Thank you very much for watching this video. And I'd love to know if you also might enjoy this kind of content, which are not strictly tutorials. And maybe I can show you the other rooms of this dollhouse. Bye!